Good evening. So I said I was going to make a video about my overdoses, and so that's exactly what I'm going to do. This video, I am just going to talk about um, the three overdose incidents that I've had in my life during my drug addiction. And if you like this kind of content and you're finding this video and this channel for the first time, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, helps us reach more people that might be still struggling in addiction, or just needs that extra support in recovery, or even family members, loved ones, or friends of someone who is going through addiction right now that is looking for support. And we want all those people in every one of those categories to feel like they are not alone, and that we have a community here that is here behind them and here to support them. Anyway, let me jump right into the first overdose. I had just been to my first secular rehab, right? This is after 3, 4 years of hardcore opioid addiction, painkiller addiction that progressed, into the 30 or 40 perks a day. And then, of course, once my world collapsed, straight to the heroin, so I could get more bang for my buck. Probably 90% of opioid addicts' story is they start with painkillers that the doctor prescribed them because they got hurt, and once their life turns upside down, they go straight to the needle and to the heroin because it's cheap, easy to get, and it's the only option to stay well. So anyway, I was at my first secular rehab. I went through a 30-day program. Then I went to a halfway house. And I had been clean for about 6 months, totally clean, no mood or mind altering substances. And I was at this halfway house and doing really well. And just so happened that someone in the house had gotten some heroin. This is back right when fentanyl was just starting to come out. And I was in a port city, so the access to dope was very accessible, and it was pretty good most of the time because it was coming in off the port, out from the port, and it hadn't really been stepped on. So anyway, I went with this boy and we got some stuff, and he had a friend who had an apartment on the water, and we went up and I got a bag of this dope, and I went up in the apartment and I literally only did like a quarter of the bag, and I remember pushing it in, and that's the last thing I remember. Some guys from the halfway house found me on church steps. Actually, I had found a church and smacked out, drooling all over myself. I had found some church steps. I don't remember any of it, and I was sitting there out cold. And thank God some of my friends from the halfway house found me, and they literally carried me back to the halfway house and put me in my bed so no one would know. And that's where I woke up the next morning, not knowing what on earth had happened. So it wasn't an overdose in the sense that I wasn't breathing and those kind of things. I don't guess, because after you hear the next two stories, you'll know that God was definitely playing a big part in keeping me alive in the next two overdoses. So could have been the same for that as well, But I just know that I ended up in my bed in the halfway house and woke up the next morning not knowing what in the world had happened, until I had talked to my buddies who told me the story. So that one, not a huge deal. The next overdose was a pretty big deal. I had just come out of another treatment center, different one. This was a couple years down the road, and I had met a girl, and she was a dope girl, and we were out on the lake all weekend. It was the 4th of July weekend, and I was drinking. I had been doing meth. I had been up for like 3 or 4 days. I was doing Xanax. I think we did a little bit of coke in there. and we decided we were going to go get some heroin. And mind you, I haven't done heroin in a while now, and I have all these other substances in my body, and I've been up for days, okay? So we go and we get this dope, and I took this boy with me. We'll just call him Shadow for now. And he was in the back seat because he wanted to get some dope too, and we had the plug. So we drive and we meet our amigo and we get some stuff, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat of this Jeep, and I was working out a lot then, so I was probably 205, every bit of it, and I think I was doing steroids as well, and my girlfriend was like 90 pounds, dripping wet, and soaking wet, so she was a little bitty thing. Well, we get the dope, I push in, I don't remember anything, I don't even remember the push on that one, because I tried to do like a half a gram shot, what I was doing before I had gone to treatment, and so I don't remember anything. But as the story goes, from Shadow, who I talked to later after the incident, and from the girl that was my girlfriend at the time, I turned blue, quit breathing, couldn't find a pulse. Shadow, who thought I was dead, did not want to get in trouble, so I don't really blame him. I mean, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? You're living in that world, that's the kind of stuff that you can expect. But he dipped out, right? He took off on foot, called somebody to come get him from the city, and he was gone, right? Because he thought I was dead. Ashlyn, bless her heart, she was going in. We were in a CVS parking lot, so she went in and got ice. She got water. She was pouring water, cold water all over me, pouring ice all over me, trying to get me awake. She said she sat there for 20 minutes because she couldn't move me. Mind you, I was in the driver's seat. So there was no going to the hospital, right? She couldn't move me. There's no way. She tried, but there's no way, right? So I'm sitting there for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Blue, not breathing. Dead, right? 20 minutes later, she says she's just sitting over there, just crying like uncontrollably, just thinking about doing a big shot herself and just calling it, you know what I'm saying? Just like doing it, 'cause she was just that kind of girl. And she said, literally, I gasped for breath, just out of it. Boom, I woke up. And I remember a little bit after that, I don't remember much, right? I remember enough. I remember me getting out of the driver's seat and getting in the passenger seat, and then I went back out for the rest of the day. I woke up the next day, but so I did. When I woke up, it was just for a moment, right? And it was just enough for me to move so she could drive. But I mean, I should have been brain dead. No oxygen to the brain for 20 minutes. I should have been brain dead, right? But like the big book says, but by the grace of God, right, I'm still here breathing today, and I shouldn't be many times over, and that's one of the times. And anyway, that was a pretty serious incident, I mean, she said lips blue, face blue, like I was out for a long time, no breath, no pulse, nothing. I was dead. And I should have been brain dead, and God brought me back. He brought me back for a purpose, and I know what that is now. And my mom says it, my wife says, anybody that knows me, that's close to me, they all say it, that God has brought me through all this for a reason. And I'm finally realizing that reason and stepping into that reason, not looking back, putting fear aside, and not letting it control or cripple me any longer. Because this is what I was meant to do, and it's time to start doing it. I don't think I have too many more chances left. I think my 9 lives are over and spent, and have been for a long time. So anyway, third and last overdose, right? So I had been clean for a long time, actually. Me and my wife, I had been to treatment, I had my supernatural encounter with Jesus. I had met my wife. I had started having kids, had 3 kids already. And, I don't know if you heard my testimony. I have a couple videos that kind of go through my testimony over the course of the videos. But, I started my business and a little handyman construction business, and just got overwhelmed, manipulated the doctor into a prescription of Adderall, lost my relationship with Jesus Christ, drifted away, stopped doing spiritual maintenance, just got overwhelmed and distracted by the world, the noise of the world, and my responsibilities, and put God on the back burner. And you just, it's a no, it's a big no, especially for someone like me. And anyway, so I had been doing these Adderalls. I had gotten some meth. I had been doing meth again, and I had been up for like 5 days, I think, and I got some of those pressed green Xanax bars that come from Mexico that looked just like a real Xanax, but they were not pharmaceutical Xanax. They had xylazine, the tranquilizer, in them. They had allorazepam, Xanax, and they also had fentanyl in them. And one of my buddies had gotten a whole bag from somebody that had gotten some from, an amigo, and I think I had a handful of them. And I was trying to come down off the meth, and I wanted to go to sleep. And I think I was sitting in my truck in my driveway, and I think I took like 2.5 of them, maybe 3. I can't remember. I think I was trying to eat the last half of the third one. It's the last thing I remember. But anyway, my wife, she's calling me, can't get a hold of me. And so she leaves and comes home. And I actually have the pictures. When she pulled up in the driveway, she saw both truck doors open, and all she saw were my feet hanging out the truck, right? And she tried to describe to me the feeling that she had when she saw that. I mean, I can only imagine. You can only imagine, right? We can all only imagine what that felt like. Anyway, so she calls the ambulance, right? And I do have pictures of me in that truck because she's waiting on the ambulance to get there. She had taken a picture, and the ambulance came, revived me. Just enough, I guess, to get on the ambulance and go, because like she said, a cop got there first and he was picking me up and trying, I was non-responsive, and the ambulance got there, and they said that, they hit me with a Narcan, and they said I had a pulse, and, it was breathing, but I don't remember any of this. I was not conscious for all that at all. I don't remember any of that. The first memory I have from that is 12 o'clock the next day, waking up to a nurse. I have scar tissue. These veins right here are hard as a rock. You can't draw blood from those. You have to go on my hands. And she didn't know that. And she's in there with a big old needle just gouging it as hard as she can. You know how they treat addicts in the hospital. Not too kindly, Obviously, those nurses haven't had an education on addiction. They're still living in that. It's a moral problem, past that is obviously outdated and obsolete. And people have woken up from that theory, but for some reason it seems like nurses in the emergency room haven't. And I don't know if that's just because they get tired of dealing with addicts or what the case is. I don't know, which I can understand to a point, but not to the point of my experiences from the hospital with things like this. And anyway, I wake up and that needle, she just digging it. She just got bound to have it halfway through my arm. I mean, it's got to be like down in here somewhere. And I wake up, I could feel that pain. That's how I woke up, was out of that pain. Almost a whole 24 hours later, I was out. I mean, I was out. And I woke up, and I remember my wife coming up to the hospital, and I had to go through all the psychiatric stuff, Almost got committed, My wife, she took mercy on me because she knows I'm the kind of man that, I am reasonable most of the time. In addiction, I know most people aren't reasonable, but she knew in her heart that, you know, and that this was definitely going to affect me. So, and it did, because I have kids. So, you know, after you have kids, everything that you used to do that didn't scare you at all, you know, that all changes. Once you have kids, everything changes. You know, you used to not be scared of anything. Well, let me just tell you, everything becomes scary. And not because you're worried about your well-being, it's because you're worried about those kids, you know, and it becomes terrifying. The world becomes a terrifying place just because your main objective, and, you know, it's like your soul longs to protect your children. And and you know, people like me, I know I've seen darkness, you know, firsthand. I've lived in it, walked in it, shared it, you know, smelled it, tasted it, touched it. You know, I've done it all when it comes to darkness. And, you know, so I know what kind of world it is out there, and it becomes very scary. A person like me who had absolutely no fears whatsoever, when you have kids, that all changes. It becomes a very scary world. So anyway, those are my 3 overdose stories, and by the grace of God, I'm here talking to you guys, telling you these stories, and there's only one reason for that. It's because Yeshua saved me every time he had his hand on me in every one of those situations, patiently waiting on his prodigal son to come back, to come home once and for all, so I could sit here and share these stories with you guys, you know, share them so that someone in that darkness and that despair, lost with no hope, maybe can see this and see that there is hope. Okay, all addicts think they're the worst addict ever, you know, but definitely some of us are way more hardcore than others, and some of us have been down much deeper, darker paths than others. And, you know, we're always trying to one up each other. But I will say that I know there's an addict out there worse than me, but I was a bad one for sure. And yeah, I've been there. So if you are that person watching this and you are still in active addiction, and you have that heaviness and that despair, and you feel like there's no way out, there is a way out. There is. Turn your eyes to the Lord and call on him. And he will hear you, and he will answer your cry, and he will help you out. All right, guys. My phone's saying low storage. So anyway, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. I love all of you guys. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good night. And that's it.